Hello and welcome to History Bubble. Today we'll be covering the independent Algeria. The new government soon took over all the previous colonial factories and corporations. They had planned to do this for all corporations in the country at some point, even the ones not owned by the previous French government. The new leader of Algeria, Ben Kalle, soon became unliked by some of the population and there became inner fighting. This rebellion was mostly defeated, but it did set the stage for a coup. This coup was made by a man named Houari Boudouine, and it was without bloodshed. He was a nationalist with many Islamic values, which led to many in his party members in the FLN to dislike him because of their socialist values. I think it's also good to mention that they had a one-party system. There were several coups and assassination attempts made on Boudouine. He also supported the independence of Western Sahara and provided a refugee camp for the Sahrawi people. This also shattered the relations between Morocco and Algeria, because it was Morocco who claimed the land of Western Sahara. Later he became president, since for the last 10 years he had only been chairman of the Revolutionary Council. After him, Shadiri Beniyidid took power. During his reign, the radical Islamists started to protest around the country, harassing women with too little clothing according to them, and destroying shops that sold or served alcohol. After a person had been killed during these protests, the government started to take more actions and imprisoned several of the hundreds protesters. In the 80s, the economical situation worsened and the government became more corrupt, and Beijing removed many of the socialist elements of the country's laws. This resulted in large protests and riots, leading to around 500 dead. To please the rioters, the government signed a document removing the word socialist from their country's name to increase freedom of expression, and removed some of the laws protecting female rights. But when the elections came in 1991, the Islamic Salvation Front, or FIS, got more votes than the FON. This brought the government into chaos. They made re-elections, banned the party, and started to arrest a lot of the party's supporters. This was seen as the start of the Algerian War, and FIS started sending out guerrilla fighters, mostly into the rural areas in the north. A steady stream of journalists, academics, writers, and others started to get assassinated. While this cannot be traced to either side, it's likely many of the deaths were linked with FIS. We cannot be sure, but because they were attacking the French population, which many of FIS did, and FIS did not have control over supporters. Other jihadistic, is that a word? It actually is. Well, but anyway, other jihadistic groups formed in Algeria, like Mia, May, and Gia. This group met often to try to unite with each other, but they all wanted it, but they also wanted to be in charge and lead a rebellion, so they never get along. So yeah, they never came to an agreement. Gia soon started to enact a policy that they would kill any foreigner in their lands after a deadline, and so they did, with around 25 people. The government wanted to end the war and started in negotiations and peace treaties, but none of these were successful. The rebel groups Gia and May also united during this time. Mia also swore allegiance to FIS, and soon the two major rebel groups were fighting. Later Gia called a caliphate, thus claiming the true successors of Muhammad. In 1995, there were peace negotiations to implement democracy and human rights at the end to FIS. Even though this was signed by FIS and many others, it did not work out. And while FIS largely ended their fighting, the speculation that they founded attacks in Algeria. And then, as I said, this ended nothing, and Gia was still on the offensive and wasn't at the negotiations. But Gia was also on attack against FIS, assassinating one of their co-founders. In the Algerian election of 1995, FIS tried to boycott it, and Gia threatened to kill all voters. Even though all these threats and chaos in the country, the voter turnout was said to be around 75%. By this time, the massacres started to happen more frequently, sometimes killing entire villages. But who was responsible for this massacre is disputed, at least which organization. While it seems like GIA was responsible for a lot of them, it is not completely certain. GIA's members soon started to question the decisions of the organization and its way of handling things. They did not have any allies and everyone hated them, and the organization was slowly dying, and so was the war. While the death of the GIA's leader officially marked the end of the war in September of 2002, it had kinda been over for a time, and Algeria Bouteflika was elected president. He tried to reopen Algerian international affairs since that department was very lacking during the civil war that almost isolated the country from the outside world. After that, he got a second regime, and a subgroup of Al-Qaeda started to operate in the country, carrying out suicide bombings. Algeria Bouteflika got a third term, and then a fourth. Just to clarify about how we got so many terms, Algeria, according to economist intelligence units, is on the verge of being an authoritarian regime. So take that as you wish. During his third term, his protest came to Algeria. People wanted lower food prices, more freedom, less unemployment, less corruption, etc. Also other things you normal protestants want. This was illegal protesting, but the government could not do much about it. But soon died out, and Bouteflika is the president to this very day. Well, that about wraps it up. See you in 2 weeks for the video about Andorra.